moved on leaps and bounds.
Yes, there's been a tremendous amount of development in digital film technology as a whole, and that's prompted primarily by the computer technology evolving as quickly as it does everywhere. The kind of machines that we're actually using to do post-production special effects on Lawnmower Man 2 are Silicon Graphics workstations, supercomputers, desktop systems, and custom software developed by Kodak, software called Cineon.
Now, to people looking, it may just seem like a computer screen, you know, with the kind of stuff on it that they might expect to see on Windows at home. In terms of power and capability, how does this compare to something, say, that people might have seen?
Sure. Okay. Well, this particular computer is an Onyx, and we're doing a shot from the dome sequence of Lawnmower Man 2. You see Patrick right there hanging from a platform. This particular computer has 1 gigabyte of random access memory and 48 gigabytes of disk storage. Those large, massive amounts are required simply because we're working at film resolution, whereas a video frame is maybe 1.5 megabytes in size for every frame of video. Every frame of film, to store it digitally and manipulate it in the computer, takes between 10 and 100 megabytes per frame, and of course 24 frames a second. So you can see it adds up very, very quickly.
And this term gigabyte, what does that relate to? I mean, how many pages of A4 is that?
I couldn't even convert it to text. It's a massive, massive amount. I mean, most floppy disks are 1.2, 1.4 megabytes of storage. A gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes.
Okay, so it's pretty big.
It's a factor above, yes, yes.
And in terms of what you're doing, are you actually physically producing the finished product here, or are you just playing with the images?
We're actually producing images which will be returned to camera negatives that can be cut back into the movie.
And how complicated is the process? Because I think people at home have this image that you sit here, you fiddle around on a computer, and hey presto, out of a sort of printer somewhere comes the finished product which gets sent to cinemas.
It would be nice if it were quite that easy. It's not magic or rocket science. It's mostly visual techniques that are being applied to the images. For example, we have here the blue screen of Patrick, and we combine this blue screen with a frame of computer graphics which was created by one of our CG artists. This particular frame, which is looking down the center of the dome, was modeled and animated and rendered, basically made from a wireframe into a picture based on storyboards provided by the production designer. So they give us the idea of what they would like, storyboards and drawings and artist conceptions, and we convert that using the computer graphics software to images. These images are then combined with live action footage, which is scanned from camera negative. So we basically take the camera negative that was shot of the scene on the set, digitize that using a Kodak Cineon Lightning scanner, and then we can combine the two. In this case, that would look like this. So here you see the finished frame for this one shot, and here you see the original blue screen. So this is what we start with, and in the end, this is what's produced.
And in terms of the finished product, how much time on screen does this represent?
This particular shot is about 7 seconds long.
And how long does it actually take to get that 7 seconds worth ready to go?
That's a good question. It varies, of course, depending on the length of the shot, the complexity of the shot. In this case, something along the lines of 2 days.
So basically, I mean, with these high-tech films, you're looking at months and months and months of sitting in front of a computer screen to produce the finished product.
Yes, yes. We do run in shifts. We keep the facility, Cinesite, open 24 hours, and we also have a variety of different specialists in the building. There are people who do compositing like myself. There are people who specifically just specialize in the computer graphics end of it. And then there are, of course, producers and what have you.
And how do you feel about making films in a way on computer? Because I know some people say that the special effects have taken over from the actors and the skill and the human art. It's all done, on floppy disk and a mouse.
Well, in general, to the best of my recollection, special effects have never made a bad movie good. The movie has to be, the script has to be meaningful and have substance all on its own. You can spend an infinite amount of money and put an infinite number of special effects in the film. You're not going to get a good film if you didn't have a good story to begin with. In the case of this film, it's obviously a very effects-intensive film. A big part of the movie takes place in virtual reality. hence the computer-generated environments that the characters are moving about in and interacting with. So in the case of Lawnmower Man 2, it's absolutely crucial. Obviously, you could simply not produce a film like this without the use of digital technology.
How much of what comes out as the finished product is to do with better hardware, and how much of it is to do with what's going on inside your head and the heads of the other people involved in the finished product?
Again, we're trying to produce the director's vision of the film. Farhad Mann, the director, is in the facility and will move from suite to suite and give us feedback on what we're producing. Obviously, we're working from sort of a rough outline. We have an idea based on storyboards and script notes and breakdowns. We have an idea of what it is he's looking for, but we really don't have the absolute final tweaks in place until he's come in, he's seen it on the screens, he can make adjustments, make that a little bluer, make that a little redder, left, right, up, down, faster, slower. A variety of things are possible until he's happy with it.
Final question then, Scott. Tell me, how does London as a kind of digital facility capital compare to, say, LA or one of the other big centres? Because I know it's supposed to have this good reputation.
Well, as you can tell, I'm not from London. I'm actually from the LA facility. I've been here just over a year now. LA, obviously, in terms of the infrastructure, the number of facilities, the number of frames put through any given facility, is larger than London. However, London, as far as Europe goes, or the rest of the world, is obviously right after that. So there's quite a bit of post-production, digital post-production being done in London. However, working at this kind of resolution that we're working at Cinesite to provide the quality of images and the quantity of shots for a given film that we're providing, that's fairly unique to Cinesite for the most part within Europe. There are a few other facilities, a couple here in London and one in Germany, which are comparable, but simply in terms of sheer horsepower and the experience of the people who actually run the machines, I would have to say Cinesite in Europe is fairly unique.
But Cinesite London still has to play second fiddle to Cinesite LA.
Well, it's sort of a sharing going on. Obviously, we share human resources, hence my being here. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Hello. You're on film now, Alistair, I hope you know. You're being recorded. What can I do for you? I touched the mic anyway, so yeah. I apologize.
So, could you just turn that side of your shirt where the mic is just in a little bit? That's fine. But ultimately, though, Cinesite London has to play second fiddle to Cinesite LA.
Well, in terms of scale, we have somewhat less machinery, somewhat fewer people than they have in Los Angeles Cinesite. However, our systems, the hardware, the software, and to a certain extent even the people, are shared between the two facilities. We're linked up with modems and other fast means of communication so that we can actually share images, share data, exchange information very rapidly.
So, in fact, I mean, does it happen in the case of this film that stuff gets sent to LA, say, where you need a little bit more touching up with kit that you don't have here, and then it gets sent back down the line?
Well, in the case of this particular film, actually, the London facility is doing about 90% of the work on the film, and the LA facility is doing a much smaller portion of the film. And it's not so much a matter of equipment or software, since we both have the same types of computers, the same types of software. We run Cineon on Onyxes, they run Cineon on Onyxes. We have CG animators, they have CG animators. So it's very much a joint effort. So in this case, I wouldn't say so much second fiddle as